My brother was always the favorite, but I never expected what he did after our parents died. I, 29, lost both of my parents in a car accident 2 years ago. It was sudden, violent, and it changed everything. Growing up, it was obvious that my older brother, Sean, 32, was the favorite. He could do no wrong in their eyes. Straight C's in high school. He's just not academic. Caught smoking weed at 16. Boys will be boys. Meanwhile, I got grounded for weeks if I came home 5 minutes late from school. I never hated Sean. I just accepted that our parents saw something in him they didn't in me. After their deaths, I assumed we'd deal with the estate like adults. Our family home was paid off, and our parents had some savings and life insurance. I was prepared to split everything equally, as stated in their will. But when it came time to go over the documents, Sean acted weird. He kept pushing back meetings, refusing to answer calls, and eventually ghosted me for a month. I finally got in contact with the family lawyer, and that's when the bomb dropped. My parents had changed the will a year before the accident. Everything, the house, the accounts, the life insurance, went to Sean. Not a single cent for me. I thought it was a mistake. I demanded an explanation. The lawyer was sympathetic but firm. The documents were real, signed and notarized. My name wasn't even mentioned. I called Sean, furious, and he actually had the nerve to say, "Mom and Dad said you were doing fine on your own." They wanted to make sure I had a cushion since I was still figuring things out. He's 32. Figuring things out meant working part-time at a bar, living rent-free in their house, and spending his nights playing video games and getting high. I have a degree, a job, my own apartment. But apparently, being responsible meant I didn't deserve a single dollar from our parents. For months, I tried to come to terms with it. I even suggested he sell the house and split the money. It was more than fair. He refused. Flat out. Called me greedy. Last week, I drove by the old family home. It was completely trashed. Overgrown yard, trash in the driveway, broken furniture on the porch. I could see people inside through the window, strangers. Turns out, Sean has been renting out rooms to random people on Craigslist to fund his lifestyle. That broke me. I'm now in the process of contesting the will. I don't even care about the money anymore. I just want to make sure the memory of our parents isn't tied to this version of Sean. If I lose, fine. But I'm not staying silent. Sometimes, I wonder why I wasn't enough for them to love equally. Why they gave everything to someone who never gave anything back. But the worst part? I miss them. Even now. Update: my brother got everything after our parents died. Now I know why. It's been 3 months since I decided to contest the will. I'll be honest, it's been hell. Legal fees are draining me. I'm mentally exhausted. And every time I see the lawyer, I expect them to say, "There's nothing we can do." But last week, something finally broke the silence. My mom's old friend, Carol, reached out to me out of the blue. She said she'd heard about the situation, about how Sean got everything, and she needed to talk. We met at a diner just outside town. She slid a manila envelope across the table and said, I couldn't live with it anymore. Inside were emails. Dozens of them. Printed out. Between my mother and Sean. They were from 2 years before the accident. They talked about changing the will. But they weren't just casual updates. They were manipulations. Sean had been writing to Mom over and over about how I didn't need anything, how I talked behind their backs, how I once suggested putting them in a home. All lies. Complete, bold-faced lies. He even sent screenshots of fake text messages, ones he clearly edited or created. They made it look like I was saying awful things about our parents. That's why they changed the will. That's why I was cut off completely. I sat there in the diner with my hands shaking. Carol told me she'd always had doubts, that she overheard Sean bragging to someone about finally getting what he deserved after our parents' funeral. She couldn't prove anything then. But she saved these emails just in case. I've turned everything over to my lawyer. Now the case has changed. We're not just contesting the will. We're investigating fraud and manipulation of a vulnerable elder. If we can prove that Sean knowingly fabricated messages to change the will in his favor, and there's a solid chance we can, he might not just lose the inheritance. He might face criminal charges. I haven't confronted him yet. I've barely spoken to him since the funeral. But part of me wants to look him in the eye and ask. Was it worth it? Was it worth tearing apart what was left of our family just to sit in a crumbling house, high out of your mind, with nothing but your lies to keep you warm? Because here's the truth, he didn't just steal money. He stole memories. He made our parents die thinking I was someone I'm not. And that hurts more than any dollar amount ever could. I don't know how this will end, but I'm not giving up. Not anymore. It's been a long few months since Carol gave me those emails. The legal process moved faster than I expected. Once my lawyer reviewed the printed messages and began requesting metadata and digital records, everything unraveled quickly. Sean had forged texts. Faked email chains. Even altered dates on some messages to make it look like I'd been planning to abandon our parents. There's a word for this: undue influence. It's when someone manipulates an older or vulnerable person into changing their will through lies, coercion, or deception. We had a solid case. But even with that progress, nothing prepared me for seeing Sean again. We met in the attorney's office, not by choice, but because both legal teams agreed on a last-ditch settlement conference before the court hearing. I walked in expecting to see the brother I grew up with, the goofy, lazy, occasionally infuriating guy I once shared bunk beds with. Instead, I saw a stranger. He looked worn down. Pale, thinner than I remembered. Bloodshot eyes. Unshaven. He still wore that old hoodie Mom got him for Christmas 6 years ago. But when he saw me, his expression didn't flinch. No guilt. No shame. Just coldness. Our lawyers did the talking. Mine laid everything out: the forged texts, the false emails, the metadata that proved they were created on Sean's computer, the timeline that didn't match reality. His lawyer kept quiet most of the time. Then I spoke. Why? I asked. Why did you do it, Sean? He leaned back in the chair, like he'd been waiting for this moment. You had everything, he said. The job. The friends. The grades. The life. They were proud of you, even when they pretended they weren't. I blinked. Are you serious? You were their favorite. They bailed you out of everything. They paid your rent until you were 30. That was pity, not love, he snapped. I saw it in Mom's eyes. She loved you more. And I knew that if they died, you'd still come out on top. They'd leave you everything, and I'd be the loser again. So you lied, I said quietly. He didn't respond. Just stared at the floor. His lawyer tried to steer the conversation back toward numbers, proposing a partial settlement, where he'd keep the house and give me a portion of the remaining funds. I refused. I told them I didn't care if it meant years in court. I'd sell my car, max out my savings. But I wasn't going to let this slide. He needed to face consequences. Not just for me, but for our parents, who died believing things about me that weren't true. The hearing is next month. But there's more. Yesterday, I got a call from a woman named Dana. She was my mom's old co-worker from the local library. She said she'd been holding on to something she found in Mom's desk after her passing, a sealed envelope with my name on it. She didn't know how to reach me until Carol filled her in on everything. I picked it up this morning. Inside was a handwritten letter from my mom. It was dated 5 months before the accident. It read, "Dear, my name. I hope someday you read this. I don't know what's been happening between you and Sean, but I want you to know something. I love you. I'm proud of you. You've always been my steady one, my quiet strength. If I seem distant sometimes, it's only because I worry I've leaned on you too much. Sean struggles in ways I don't always understand. He tells me things about you, and sometimes I don't know what to believe. But in my heart, I know you. You're not cruel. You're not selfish. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe I'm afraid of leaving things unsaid. You are everything a son should be. Love. Mom." I cried for the first time in over a year. Not just tears, I sobbed, clutching the letter like a life preserver in a storm. Because for the first time, I knew, she didn't believe him. Not really. Somewhere inside her, despite the manipulation and the lies, she knew the truth. And that's what I carry into the courtroom next month. Not anger. Not revenge. Just truth. And that, I hope, is enough. The court date came faster than I thought it would. Maybe it's because I stopped counting the days. Maybe I just wanted it over. By the time we arrived at the courthouse, my lawyer had built a rock-solid case. The forged emails. The fabricated texts. The testimony from Carol and Dana. Even the letter from my mom, while not legally binding, was submitted as emotional evidence of her true intentions. Sean's lawyer looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Sean looked empty. Not nervous. Not angry. Just hollow. He didn't speak to me. He wouldn't even look in my direction. I wish I could say the trial was some dramatic movie moment, yelling, gasps from the gallery. But it was quiet. Methodical. The judge was calm but firm. And when it came time for Sean to take the stand, he refused. He pleaded the fifth. That said everything. After 3 days of hearings and evidence presentation, the judge gave his ruling. The will was invalid. It had been changed under fraudulent pretenses, with forged communication and manipulation of a vulnerable person, our mother. The judge ruled that the previous version of the will, the one from 3 years prior, before any of Sean's interference, would be reinstated. That version? It split everything 50/50ths. But that wasn't all. The judge also referred Sean for criminal investigation. Forgery, elder fraud, and obstruction, all felonies. Whether or not he'll be charged is up to the prosecutor, but my lawyer said the evidence is damning enough to pursue. Sean didn't react. He just stood up, nodded to his attorney, and walked out. I haven't heard from him since. It's been 5 weeks now. I've started the process of selling the house. It's not about the money anymore, I can't step foot in there without feeling sick. That place used to be my childhood home. Now it's just, tainted. I've donated a good portion of the inheritance to a senior legal advocacy group, one that helps elderly people avoid being manipulated in exactly the way my mom was. I kept the letter. It's in a frame on my bookshelf. I look at it sometimes when I feel overwhelmed. Not to dwell on the pain, but to remind myself that in the end, truth came through. I don't hate Sean. I don't know if I ever did. But I don't forgive him either, not yet. Some wounds need time. And some may never fully heal. But I know who I am now. I know who my parents believed I was, deep down. And that's worth more than any inheritance. 5 years after my brother stole everything, he showed up at my door. It's been 5 years. 5 quiet, strange, peaceful years. After the court case, after the media coverage, yes, a few local stations picked it up, after the house was sold and Sean disappeared, my life began to reshape itself. Not overnight, but piece by piece. I met someone. Her name's Rachel. We met at a friend's birthday dinner, sat next to each other by chance. I didn't even realize I'd been lonely until I started talking to her. We've been married for 2 years now. We have a daughter. Her name's Evelyn, named after my mother. I didn't expect to find peace after everything, but I did. Not complete peace. There are still echoes of everything that happened. I still have nightmares sometimes. Still wake up with a knot in my chest, thinking I'm about to walk back into that courtroom again. But mostly, I've moved forward. Until last week. It was a Sunday. Evelyn was napping upstairs. Rachel was working in the garden. I was cleaning out the garage when I heard someone knock on the front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I wiped my hands on a towel and opened it. And there he was. Sean. Older. Gaunter. Grayer. He looked 10 years older than he should have. Eyes sunken. He smelled like cheap cigarettes and travel, like bus stations and forgotten places. I stood frozen. My brain didn't know how to process him standing on my front step. It was like a ghost had knocked on the door. He spoke first. "I'm not here for money," he said. I just wanted to talk. I should have slammed the door. I should have told him to go to hell. But something in his voice, it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't slick or manipulative. It was tired. Quiet. I stepped aside and let him in. We sat in the kitchen. Rachel came in, stunned. She didn't say a word, just gave me a look and left us alone. For a few minutes, we just sat there. Then he finally spoke. "I hit bottom last year," he said, looking down. "Lived in shelters. Couch surfed. I got clean 7 months ago." I didn't say anything. I went back to Mom and Dad's grave. Sat there for 3 hours. I thought about everything I did. Everything I destroyed. Still, I said nothing. He finally looked up at me. "You can hate me. I don't blame you. I just needed to say I'm sorry, really sorry, not just because I lost everything. But because I meant to hurt you. I wanted to take something from you. I was jealous. I thought they loved you more." "They did," I said bluntly. "And not because of your mistakes, but because I never betrayed them. Or you." He nodded slowly. "I know." We sat in silence. Then I asked, "What do you want from me?" He shook his head. "Nothing. I just wanted to apologize. I don't expect you to forgive me. I know I can't fix it." I looked at him for a long time. The man who once stole everything from me. Money, home, memories, reputation. And now, he was just a hollow version of who he once pretended to be. "Do you even remember what you said in court?" I asked. He shook his head. "You told the judge you had no brother." He winced. I was high. Angry. "I didn't mean." "But you did, Sean," I cut him off. "You meant it. And I lived with that. For 5 years. He lowered his head again. "I'm sorry." We didn't hug. There was no emotional music. Just silence. After an hour, he stood up. "I'll go." "Where will you stay?" I asked. "There's a halfway house in town. I'll be fine." I nodded. "You need anything?" He blinked, shocked. "No. I mean, thank you. But no. I'm good." He walked out. I watched him go, and for a second, I saw a glimpse of the brother I once knew, the one I rode bikes with, who held me when I broke my arm, who whispered jokes during bedtime when we were kids. Just a flash. A memory. A ghost. I don't know if we'll ever talk again. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him. Maybe some wounds aren't meant to heal cleanly. Maybe they scar over, but still sting when the weather changes. But for the first time in years, I don't feel hate. I don't feel the need to carry the weight of what he did. I've built something better. And he has to carry what he destroyed. I have a daughter now. A family. A life. I've learned that forgiveness isn't always a gift for the other person, sometimes, it's a release for yourself. So here's my truth. I don't forgive Sean. But I no longer need to. And for the first time in a long, long time. I'm free. 6 years later, a letter from Sean. It's been 6 years since Sean showed up at my door. We didn't speak again after that day. I heard from someone at the halfway house that he stayed clean for a while. Found a job at a warehouse. Tried to rebuild. I didn't reach out. I told myself I'd moved on, that I didn't owe him anything. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single page, in shaky handwriting. Hey. If you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I messed up too many times, but I never forgot that you gave me something no one else did, a chance to be human again. I don't blame you for walking away. But I want you to know I kept that day in your kitchen with me. It was the only time I felt like I could breathe. I hope Evelyn knows how lucky she is. You'll be a better father than we ever had. No need to write back. Just, remember the good version of me, if you can. Sean. I folded the letter and placed it in the same drawer as Mom's note, next to old photos, forgotten souvenirs, and fragments of a life that once was. I didn't cry. I just stood there in silence, hand resting on the drawer. And for the first time, I whispered something I hadn't said in years. Goodbye, Sean.